So hi everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel Code with Cars. So in today's video I'm going to teach you how to generate QR code using PHP and MySQL with the help of our PHPQRCode library. So the first thing we are going to do is in today's video we will need to create our folder that will enable us to create our QR code, also create our site, PHP site, so or PHP file. So the first thing we are going to do is we need to turn on our XAMPP. So the local server I'm going to use is the XAMPP. So I will turn on the XAMPP. Okay, it's already turned on. But if it's off, all you need to do is just to click on Apache Start. You click on MySQL Start. So the next thing we are going to do is we will click on Apache Admin. Okay. So once you click Admin, it shows you the root folder of the admin. So, but that's not what we are looking for. What we are looking for is to create a file, a folder for our PHP file. So we go to our local DC and locate XAMPP, the root folder XAMPP. Open. Click on htdocs. So once it's open, the next thing we are going to do is to create a new folder. Click on folder. I'm using Windows 11, so in case you want to try it out with Windows 10, it's just the same method. So I create a folder and name the folder QRcode Gen. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is to open this folder inside my Visual Studio Code. So I'll click on my Visual Studio Code and click on what? Open folder. It's already the new window environment. So I click on open folder. So I locate the folder, go to my local DC. I go to my this PC, click on local DC, select XAMPP, click on htdocs. So I select the word QRcode Gen, the folder I just created now. I select folder. Okay, the folder is launched. So the first thing I need to do is to do what? To create a new file. That will be my index file. So I'll name it index.php. Okay, so that's my index file. So what's the first thing I'm going to do there is I need to create what? The form that will be generating the QR code. So the first thing I'll do is to create my form. So I press Shift 1 to get what? My default what? HTML structure. So inside the body I type what? Form action. I can decide to process it on the same file, or I can decide to do what? Process it from another file. So let's process from another file. Action will now create type process.php. Okay. So method we are going to use, the form method we are going to use is the post method. Although we have two form methods, the post method and the get method. So we are going to use for post method in this case or scenario. So the next thing I'm going to do there is to close my form. So I'll now create the form the way I want it to be. Maybe I'll give the form div class. So div class form. I close the div. So inside the form I create my label and say my label is best. Add best. Close my label. So the next thing I'll do is to add my inputs. So input type you are going to use is the text input type, since you want it to accept text, whether number or anything, just to accept text and character. So we use input type text. So we add a name to it, name attributes. So the name we add to it is, let's say, maybe Jen. Let's just add Jen. So placeholder. Let's add a placeholder to it. Enter any value to generate QR code. Okay, so I close. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'll add my button to generate QR code. So I use the button tag and close the button. So I add my button type submit. Okay, so I give the name generate QR code. So that's how I'm going to do it. So that's the thing. So the next thing I'm going to do is to check how our form looks like. So I click on here, copy path. Or even though I don't want to copy path, I can just go to my words browser and type QRcode. No, sorry, localhost. That's QRcode. QRcode -J. It will open since 0 folders. It will open. So that's our file over there. That's our label. That's our text box, and that's where we generate our QR code, the button to do that. So the next thing we are going to do is to make this functional. Firstly, so we now create a file. Okay, we create a file. We create a file and call it what? Process.php. Since that's where the processing of our form is going to take place, we create another file, name it process.php. Okay, so we now write a few code in the file. Sorry. Process.php. So we write a few code on this file. We start by PHP. Close the PHP. So the first thing we do is we add our session start. So for you to understand what I'm doing, you need to check some of our videos. We check out our video on PHP crash course and check out our video on HTML crash course for you to be able to understand what I'm doing. So you add session start. So you now capture the input here. Name is Jen. So you need to capture it. So look at how we capture it. We use the server request method. So we say that if server square brackets request underscore method, okay, is equal to post. So your curly brackets or braces. So you give it a variable, give a name, give the Jen a variable name, call it with showing post Jen. Okay, so you have called that value. So what is the next thing you are going to do is just to generate your words QR code. So that's the next thing you are going to do. So the first thing we are going to do there is we need to download the library. So where would you download the library? So we go towards sourceforge.net/project/PHPQRcode. That's the link for downloading the PHP QR code library. Although at the end of this tutorial, I will be dropping the link. Okay, at the end of the tutorial, I will drop the link. So you click on download. Once it's open, you click on download to enable you to download the file. So it's downloading. So it's downloading. Can see it over here. It's downloading. So what's the next thing I'm going to do? So after the download is complete, you will go to your location where the download is. So that's your location where the download is. So you have to copy the file. You copy the file. Copy. You go to your local DC. Exam. You click on your htdocs. The next place you go to is after your htdocs. Click on your QR code and the folder we are working with. So you paste it inside this folder. So after doing that, you have to extract. Click on extract. You extract. You hold on so that the file will be extracted completely. So let's hold on a while. You're almost there. Let's just hold for a while. Okay. So you're almost there. Done. So the next thing you are going to do is, since it has extracted, the next thing we are going to do is just to copy a particular folder inside it. You open the extracted file, delete the zip file, delete. So you now open the extracted file. You now see another folder, PHPQRcode. So you have to do what? Cut this folder. You go back to the main root folder, QRcode, and paste this particular folder. After doing that, you delete this second folder that has PHPQRcode 210 and others. You delete with shift delete. So after doing that, the next thing you need to is to open this folder. You look for a library. That's the library, the particular file we are going to be working from the library, sorry. So you have to do what? Click on this file. You click on rename. You copy the file name. Don't rename, just copy the file name. You go back. So the next thing you are going to do is to go back to your code. You notice that the folder has appeared here. So on top of your code, what you are going to do is to use include PHPQRcode / you call the folder first / the file name .php. So this is the file we are going to be working with. So you have called it. So since you have called it, the next thing you are going to do there is what? You need now to copy the code. So let's copy the default code. So normally the default code goes like this. Remove PHP. Remove this. So that's how the default code works. So the next thing you are going to do is to edit this code. So text means the content. The content of the QR code is text. So the content already will be gen. That's the text you have got. You replace it with gen. So the next thing will be the path. We need to create a path where the images will be stored. So we create a path. The path will be directory. We create a directory. We click on this new folder. So the directory is images. So that once the QR code is generated, to be stored in image. So we have created our path. So our file will be saved as unique ID. Unique ID is a predefined function in PHP that generates random codes that has both special characters and numbers. So you will use unique ID as our file. Then our path is this. So we need to make some changes to this our path. You copy and paste it down. You make some changes. So the path will be what now? So now be dot file. Path will be combination of the location and the file name. So that's the path. You have made some changes to the path. So this pixel size and frame size. Pixel size depends the size in which the image will be rendered, and frame size is the size of the image. So ECC is whether it will be large or small. It depends the resolution. So whether it will be large or small. So this particular function generates what QR code and stores in the directory. So there is something you need to replace here. If you check, there is small error here. To avoid this error, you have to change this frame size here to small letter X. So others are okay. So there is a changes you need to make here. The change will be what? To remove this file and change it to path. Okay? So you save. So after doing these changes, there is something you need to do. So let's say once you click and this might have worked, all this might have worked. So the next thing you need to do is to save the file in database. So you need to save a file. So let's add our database file. You click and create a database connection also. So you click on new file. The file will have a database connection. You call it connection.php. Okay. So let's create a database connection. So please, the PHP we are using here is object-oriented PHP. We are not using structural, neither we are using procedural. What we are using here is the object-oriented PHP. So we use the object-oriented PHP as syntax for database connection. So let's proceed. The first thing we have there is the database host, DB host. Okay, be equal to, by default is localhost. You close your statement. The next thing is the DB name, the DB username. As the DB user is root by default. So the next one is the DB password. As the DB password will be empty since it's not secured. So the last thing will be the DB name. And give it QRcode. That's what the DB name will be. So let's create the final connection that connects all these together. So the final connection will be using a variable DB is equal to new MySQLi. We call the first thing the DB host, comma, the DB user, comma, the DB pass, comma, the DB name. That's the last thing. You close your statement. So once you are able to get this right, your database is already connected. So you make sure that you connect this appropriately, make sure that it's correct, and secondly, make sure that the details you give here are correct, especially your database name. If not, there will be error in database connection. So the next thing we need is to call the file, this file inside our process. So you go back to your process and call the file here. Call the file using include connection.php. We save. So what's the next thing we are going to do? The next thing we are going to do is to create our database before we proceed any other thing. So let's create our database with that name, QRcode. Know that we store our QR codes generated inside the database and also inside the folder. So let's create our database. Okay, you go to your Xang control panel, go to MySQL and click on admin. You hold on for it to load. Okay, let's hold on while we wait for it to load. Okay, it's loading. Wow, that's our PHP my admin environment. So the first thing we are going to do to create our database is we click on new from the left hand side. Click on new from the left hand side. We type the database name, will be QRcode. Click on what? Leave every other setting by default. You click on what? Create. Okay. You add a table name. The table name we have there is QRcode gen. As the QR code generated. You click on create. So you add your ID. ID will be auto incremental. So you select auto incremental and select type integer int. Make the length 11. So the next thing we have there is the test. Is the add test. Then the barcode. You can just decide to add date generated, date gen. So we select add this to be varchar, length 255. You set no. Select barcode to be what? Blob. Select 255. No. Let gel to be var 255. Then set to be no. After doing this, you click on save. Okay. So once you are done up to this extent, the next thing you are going to do is we need to do what? To insert these variables we have got here into database. So you need to call another variable here. That's our date generated, date gen. We'll be using the date function in PHP. It will be what? Year, month, day, hour, minute, second. Okay? The close statement. So the next thing we are going to do is what? We now need to insert this data into the database. This record, insert records into database. So we use the MySQL statement known as insert. So how do it work? And we insert the data using the prepare statement. So we now say record insert. You can call your variable anything. Record insert db this prepare You open, you set insert into, you check on the table name. Yeah, insert. The table name is what? QRcode gen, so we have to copy to be accurate, not to make mistakes. So we paste, now say values. So we are inserting into the table. So what and what are we inserting? We are inserting into columns. The first column we are inserting is what? Add this. You highlight, copy. We are doing this not to make mistakes, just to avoid what? Mistakes. So you comma, select the next column. The next column is barcode. Okay. Paste, comma. You paste using Ctrl V. Select the last column there. Date gen, that's date. The barcode was generated. You paste. So we are going to what? Bind param. So make the string to be what? Empty. We need to what? Add a bit security to the what? File we are working with. So we said using the quote, the question mark. Make sure that it tallies with the number of what? Columns. So you close statement. The next thing is to do what? Record insert. This bind underscore param. Okay. Since it's 3, you go 1, 2, 3. We are binding text. That's why we are using what? X. If it's number, we use I. So you call the variables you binded. The first variable is add text, which are represented with what? Text. That's the text. The first word is what? Gen. Just say gen. The second variable there is barcode. That's our file. The last value there is what? Date generated. So date gen. That's the name of the variable. So you have called it. So the next thing you are going to do is what? To execute. So you say that if record insert this executes using the execute function. Executes, what will happen? It should send a what? Success message. So which success message it will send? It will send a success message to be session success, session success. Then session success message will now display your what? Barcode. It will now display your what? There your barcode you just generated. So it will be success message and then be H1. Can make it to be in H1 or image SRC. The file. That's your words. Your file, which is your words generated barcode. You add the header location. So the header location it will go is index. So you end. Okay. So this how will this work is once you do what? You click on this. So yeah. So how would this work is once you click on the button and it generates the barcode, upon the success it will print a barcode for you and display it. So you need to call this session success where it's supposed to be. Yeah, you need to call it where it's supposed to be. Even though you don't want to call it like this, you can just make it to be like this. Just make it to be simple. You can just say can say that session success is far. Okay, so you go to your index page and come down and say PHP that if is set, okay, session success should perform a what? Magic or a function is on set. So if the session is not working, you should remove the session. That's what the onset means. You should end the session. So onset what? Success. Okay. You now call what? Image. SRC. Okay. This is where session success will appear. Okay, so that is how PHP works. So let's give it a try and see whether what we just coded works. You go back, just refresh to show you already that the location is already there. So you add anything, you can add a code with cars. So let me zoom it for those people that might not be seeing it. So let's add what? Code with cars. Click on generate. So there is an error message here. What the error message said, it said that what? Call to undefined function image create in WhatsApp. This error message just simply define that your GD, your extension GD that is responsible for what? Allowing PHP to call image directly inside the script is turned off, is not on. So how do you set that up? How do you set that, turn it on? How do you make it to work? You simply go back to your words, XAMPP control panel, and go to your what? Apache. Click on config. So once you click on config, go to what? Browse PHP. Okay? So you type inside your browse page, type PHP. So select this PHP, not the one with in development. Select the main PHP. You right click and click on edit in notepad. Okay? So the next thing you are going to do there is to just scroll down and look for where we have extension.gd. Extension equal to GD or GD2, depending on the one you see. Extension equal to GD or GD2. So let's scroll. Let me make it more big so that you can see. So while you are scrolling, you are looking for the extension. So you scroll down. Okay, we're almost there. Okay, that's it. We are there. So we have extension equal to GD. What you are going to do is to uncomment. Yeah, you uncomment. You remove the semicolon before the extension equal to GD2. You remove the semicolon, you uncomment. So you save, Ctrl X. You save. So after saving, you close. So you go back to what? You go back to your XAMPP control panel. You have to do what? To stop Apache. After stopping, you restart Apache. Yeah. So I believe by now it will start working properly. So you click on enter. So what you have to do is to what? Go back. You have to go back to your what? QRcode. So you type a value again. You type code with cars. You can generate. So we are still having an issue. So we go back to our code and check what's the issue. So we go to process. The issue we are having is the location. So it will be dot / just one dot you save. But let's check the database to see whether this record was saved in database. So you go back to your database, you refresh it, you browse, click on browse. You can see that the details was saved in the database, meaning that the QR code has been generated. So why you are not seeing it permanently is because we are storing the result in session. So once that session is cleared, you can't see any result again. But you can still change your own. You can decide the way you want to show your own. But we are doing was storing our results in session. So for you to know how this works more, try to get our crash course. Check out our crash course on PHP and HTML and also MySQL to understand better how this works. So we need to generate another code to see how it actually works. So we go back to our code. You refresh. You type code with cars. So you click on generate. Okay, our QR code is not generating yet. So let's check why. So that's what we need to do. We need to go to index. Just need to remove that and just drop our session here. Okay, to make it more meaningful, you go back to your process. So you try to generate another one. Add technology. Okay, it's generating but it's not displaying. Okay, so that's what we need to do. Go back to your code. Okay, let's check whether we called session index. Okay, you need to start session in the index page for it to work. So you need to start session in the index page. Section. Start. Okay. So let's try it one more time. You save. Go back and refresh. So let's click on generate. So it's coming up, but it's not showing that it's an image file. So we need to call the words parts. What we now need to do is to call parts instead of the file. So you remove file and change it to parts, okay? So then look for the parts, the images, okay? So we call paths. So after refreshing, enter the input. Let's say you type technology and click on generate barcode. You can see that it's generating. So you can see that your barcode generation is working perfectly. So thank you very much. If you found this video useful, please like, comment, share, and remember to subscribe. If you have not done that, click on the subscribe button to subscribe to our YouTube channel to get more updates on useful content. Thank you so much. See you on our next video on how to create a simple shopping cart using PHP and MySQL. Thank you.